Good evening and welcome to tonight's Undaunted. Bringing to the news on church stories. I am Onyi Opala. Let's begin. Today, Monday, September 16th, is not merely another ghost town day in Ambazonia, but a monumental moment marking the final day of the historic national lockdown that began on the 7th of September. Over the past 10 days, Ambazonia has witnessed an extraordinary and unwavering show of solidarity as the entire nation came to a standstill. This total shutdown, meticulously respected by civilians across every part of Ambazonia, stands as a powerful testament to the collective determination of the Ambazonian people to mark their voices heard in their quest for self-determination and freedom from colonial rule. This lockdown, meticulously timed and strategically implemented, was not just a call for justice, but a bold and defiant statement aimed at the global community. It was an emphatic rejection of the narrative of normalcy being perpetrated by the occupying forces and a cry for international recognition of the ongoing oppression and violence faced by Ambazonians. Over these days, the streets of cities and towns from Bamenda to Buea and every village in between have remained deserted as the people united under a common cause to demand their rights to freedom and independence. As the world now witnesses the closing chapter of this successful lockdown, the resilience, unity, and unshakable commitment for the Amazonian people have never been more evident. Their collective action sends a clear message that their struggle for independence is far from over. This is not the end of their fight, but a reaffirmation of their resolve. Ambazonians have made it known that they will continue to push forward, refusing to be silenced or forgotten as they strive for a future free from colonialism, oppression, and subjugation. Today is a reminder to the world that Ambazonians' cry for freedom will not be ignored. With that, we will be right back with the prime headlines. All right, here are the prime headlines for tonight. We'll start with Ambazonia's national lockdown, which has been a show of determination and defiance. Meanwhile, the ASA in Ngoketunjia County under General Only Bro lays ambush on Colonial Republic to Cameroon forces. Buea Barrister condemns mass arrest of youth in Bonakanda. A communique from Manyu Colonial SDO, where he says motorbikes curfew imposed amid security concerns has raised a whole lot of dust. Tonight, on the African scene, we will be streaming Chinese terrorism in South Africa, while the man detained in apparent assassination attempt on Trump is criticized former president on social media. Now let's get the news in full briefings. Today, Monday, September 16th, marks not just another ghost town day in Ambazonia, but the final day of the historic national lockdown that began on the 7th of September. This period of total shutdown has not only been widely respected, but also stands as a testament to the collective resolve of the Amazonian people to be heard by the world in their quest for freedom and self-determination. Throughout the lockdown, images and videos captured from various regions, stretching from Bamenda to Buea, just like you have seen, highlights their overwhelming compliance. The streets of Ambazonia remained early silent, with business closed, public spaces deserted, and daily activities brought to a complete halt. This was not just a protest, but a united expression of defiance against colonial rule and a call for international community to recognize the struggle of Ambazonians. Over the weekend, we provided footage that showed the profound level of respect for the lockdown, as well as efforts of the Ambazonian security forces and the ghost fighters, who ensured that the lockdown was effectively enforced. Their presence was visible across major roads and towns, from Buea to the Kumba Road, as they maintained the shutdown and safeguarded the people's will. Now, here is a glimpse from September 9th, where ghost fighters are seen monitoring and enforcing the lockdown on the Buea Kumba Road. Let's see that video.
September 2024. As when I see look at where they for down so. What does it say? What does it say?
I will not the No. Now my car this. I don't broke them. Broke them halfway. Without my second Satan. I go shoot them prima for the up. I start. I don't go end. I be don't tell you now. Now Ambazonia say that me now than this. You see them? Go now. You see them? Yeah.
Oh well, despite the risks involved, the civilian population of Ambazonia embraced the lockdown, recognizing it as an essential act of resistance against continued colonial oppression. The cooperation between the enforcement forces and the civilian population was seamless, showcasing a unity that has grown stronger in the face of eternal pressure. By observing the lockdown, Ambazonians collectively set a message to the world. Their desire for freedom is unwavering, and their call for self-determination can no longer be ignored. This lockdown, observed with near universal participation, reflects the determination of the Amazonian people to assert their rights to govern themselves. It was strategic move, timed to coincide with the United Nations General Assembly to draw international attention to their plight. The people of Ambazonia demand justice, recognition, and an end to the colonial rule that has denied them of their fundamental rights. As the world witnesses the final day of this successful lockdown, Ambazonians remain hopeful that the collective action will resonate on the global stage. They have shown resilience, unity, and unshakable commitment to the cause of freedom, reinforcing that their fight for independence is far from over. Amazonians will continue to push forward, refusing to be silenced or forgotten as they strive for a future free from colonialization and oppression. The lockdown has not only demonstrated the strength of the Amazonian people, but also underscored their determination. As they transform from this period of shutdown, the call for independence and justice grows louder. The world must now pay attention, for the people of Ambazonia will continue their fight until they are free. And speaking about freedom this evening, we have our in-house analyst, Barrister Mgbeseha, who has squarely followed up this lockdown right from the week it started up until today. On Saturday, he stood his ground and made it emphatic clear on why the lockdown was held. Today, Barrister Mgbeseha is here to also commend the people of Ambazonia for standing strong for what they believe in. Barrister Mgbeseha, it's a new week and you're here. Nice to have you again.
Thank you for having me once more. Happy for viewers to see us and to listen to us. We hope our own people, Ambazonians, our opponents, like people in Cameroon, and the world at large, that is, in other words, the international community involved, will take note of what we say, and that their eyes are open and their ears are open and their ears are open to hear what is going on, to see, to be eyewitnesses to what has gone on in the past 1 week. If you want me to talk about the lockdown, I will say today is the last day. And so, being the last day, only people who deceive themselves will say that they did not see the lockdown. There was a lockdown, witnessed by Yaoundé, witnessed by the international community. It was a complete act of defiance. Defiance to the Yaoundé regime and defiance to the international community, clarifying our position. We have to answer two questions. This is the end of ghost town, of lockdown. And what next? What next is the question. I'll come to the issue of what next at the end of this session. But let me address more about this. This lockdown as an act of defiance was intended to tell Yaoundé two things. You have been making a mistake all the time and pretending you don't know who to talk to. See, the lockdown was very, very successful. Why? Because there was consequences of defiance. If somebody violated the lockdown, there was a consequence for that. And so people knew the consequences if he violated the lockdown and kept home. The question for Yaoundé to ask is, who was giving these instructions? Who would have punished the people if they defy these orders? We will bring them to one question. Pretending all the time that you don't know who to talk to. Time has come that Yaoundé must agree that they have to talk to somebody. To talk to somebody, it's not too long ago. I was alive. Most of them were alive. They have to go back to 1961 and realize that in 1961, they talked to the government of Southern Cameroons. It is time for them to talk to the government of Southern Cameroon. Like it or not, there is a government there. So the confusion of I don't know who to talk to, I'm sure, by careful analysts, the question is laid to rest. The problem is still there. Go to the conference table, talk to the rightful parties, and then there will be peace. The international community should remind them that we are back. We have revived the institution of 1961. Yes, Foncha is dead, Nere is dead, Ahijo is dead. But the institutions don't die with them. At least the principles remain there. And so the international community should know. They took us to somewhere where we did not want. That's the UN. And we're telling them it's time to look back to end the problem. So, double message to Yaoundé. Talk to the right people. Don't pretend that you don't know who to talk to. To the international community, we're back in 1961, at least in principle. And so this is lockdown again. It did not just succeed because there was a consequence if they were internal rebels, then they defy our own lockdown. They try to suffer some penalty because you cannot make a law without consequences. And so again, I think by and large, by the largest majority, we can say that the lockdown was wonderfully successful. 90, if not 95%. But that's too much for any democracy. Anything that you put on the ballot and have up to 90% cannot be questioned by anybody, any right-thinking group of people who believe in the majority rule. That's what I can say about the lockdown.
Paul, before we let go of that, because we dealt on it extensively last weekend, of course, over the weekend. The major target for this particular lockdown this time around was, of course, to drive home the point that Ambazonia, the cause of Ambazonia has been ignored by the world. And also, as of now, and Okuson is in the UN General Assembly as the president. And, you know, it had to merge. We tried to create a balance to ensure that our voices was heard. Do you think that the voices of Ambazonians as it relates to the lockdown was heard? Or do you think that the impact was felt? Or do you think that the reason why the lockdown was initiated in the first place was observed by those that it was intended to get to?
Well, I believe that the message we sent got to the right people at the only one and the international community at large. The United Nations you mentioned. The United Nations is not a group of things that's hanging in the sky. It's a group of countries. And most of these countries, UK, the United States, France, they all have embassies in Yaoundé. They are eyewitnesses to what is going on. And so they are supposed to, and they do all the time, send reports back to their respective countries. That's what constitutes the United Nations, different countries. So the answer to your question is yes, it got there. If they don't do anything, it is not because they don't know. They have witnessed it live. They were in Yaoundé. Remember, this lockdown came out first earlier in the week. The American ambassador had put out a statement about school resumption. The Vatican ambassador has put up a statement, and other communities around the world. So they are aware. They should be able to write back. I've said that all these embassies, no embassy puts out a statement which is different from their home government. So they are part and parcel of their home governments. These home governments are the ones at the United Nations, be it at the General Assembly, be it at the Security Council, or any other organ of the United Nations. Yes, the message got to them. They are aware of this. They are live witnesses. We saw it. The bulk of the countries around the world, Nigeria, Africa, they have embassies in Yaoundé. Again, France, that is the party to this struggle, has an embassy in Yaoundé. The US has one of the most powerful embassies in Yaoundé, and they talked about this before we started. The Vatican, which is represented worldwide in religious matters, has an embassy in Yaoundé. They saw this with their own eyes. So the message got to the right people, and the message has been received. It got to Yaoundé, our first opponent. It got to France, their greatest supporter. It got to United Nations through these agencies I've mentioned. Again, I've said that I will address what next at the end of the day, but I think that's the answer to your question.
All right. Thank you so much. Now, moving on, we have this report from Bonakanda, where youths over 70 are arrested or were arrested and detained. Now, a renowned barrister, Edward Lyonga, based in Buea, has voiced grave concerns over the recent arrest and detention of over 70 youths in Bonakanda by Condemns. The incident, which occurred on Sunday, September 8, has sparked widespread outrage and raised questions about the respect for human rights in the region. Well, according to eyewitnesses and reports, the arrested individuals include primary and secondary school students who were taken into custody alongside other youths. This has led to fears about the safety and well-being of the detainees, particularly the minors. Barrister Lyonga has condemned the raid in strong terms, stating that it is unacceptable to target innocent lives under the guise of fighting separatists. And so the question is, who are the separatists? Oh well. He emphasized that even if authorities intend to make arrests, it is crucial to do so while strictly respecting human rights and international conventions. Lyonga's communique highlighted the importance of upholding the principles of human dignity, fairness, and justice, even in the face of security challenges. He called on the authorities to ensure that the detainees are treated humanly and given access to legal representation. The incident has sparked a wider debate about the conduct of security operations in the region and the need for greater transparency and accountability. As the situation unfolds, many are watching closely to see how the authorities will respond to the concerns raised by Barrister Lyonga and other human rights advocates. But our concern this night is, how can primary school pupils or secondary school students even be part of separatist fighting? How big or how huge can a primary pupil look? What looks can a secondary school pupil look to be able to look like or seem to be like a separatist? Barrister Mgbeseha, while this might be a rhetorical question, you might take a dive to see if you can give us some answers. Because 70 is a huge number. You can imagine what their parents will be thinking and facing at this point. What exactly can these pupils or students do?
Again, thank you for giving me the opportunity, and thank that young lawyer for writing what he wrote. But let me give the background. See, the young lawyer lives in Buea. This thing is happening in Buea, in Bonakanda. Coincidentally, the mayor of Buea, Buea is also a lawyer. And so this is the political leader of the county, of the area, of the city called Buea. The mayor is a lawyer. But strange enough, you will not hear any statement from him. But that apart, if this might help the lawyer next time, if they talk of mass arrests, I disagree. There are not mass arrests. There's nothing like mass arrests. The appropriate definition of what happened in Buea is mass abduction, because that does not resemble an arrest in any form or shape. An arrest is when they come to you and they say you are being arrested for stealing a bunch of plantain, a suspect for stealing a bunch of plantain, a suspect for being a murderer, a suspect for a particular crime. Then you are arrested. You sign your arrest warrant. They come there with an arrest warrant signed by the authority, accusing of something which they believe you have done, and they take you into custody for that. That has never happened here. There's something in Cameroon they call Kale, which I've tried to research for the past several months. I have not seen any other country that I have recognized in the world that does something they call Kale, where they move into communities and collectively abduct the whole community by force. Those people in Bonakanda were not arrested, they were simply abducted from their homes. For whatever reason, they were abducted. Mass abduction is against international law. That is collective punishment for whatever thing, whatever you suspect. Whether you call them, you suspect Amba, you suspect terrorists, you suspect thieves, you go and arrest the whole village. That is collective punishment. You're arresting 70 people, 100 people, 50 people, with the hope that you might use that method to extract, to successfully capture one or two thieves, one or two ambers. What will you do to pay the 70 others that you have adopted them? They're simply abducted. That's against international law. And it should not be tolerated. It should be condemned at all levels. And only points to the fact that Cameroon is a lawless country. All these conventions that the learned lawyers put there on human rights, they're all signed by Cameroon. Agwambala, who is one of their greatest favorites, is in Buea. He's a lawyer. In Buea, you have every institution that is there. You have so many courts. You even have their so-called military court in Buea. You have the courts of, in fact, in Fako. Fako is one of the places that I know, in the whole of that thing called Cameroon, that is populated with courts. Courts are institutions of legality. From Buea, there in Buea, right side in Buea, you have the Court of Appeal, you have you have the military court, you have the Court of First Instance, you have the administrative court. They are all inside Buea town. You go 10 kilometers down to Tiko, there's a magistrate court there. You go 15 kilometers to Limbe, there's a court there. You go 10 kilometers to Moyuka, there's a court there. All these courts, every court has a procureur, that is a state council, that oversees investigations, that oversees signing these arrest warrants. So you cannot complain that you don't know where they are. So these people are powerless. These criminals who go to abduct people don't respect any law. Otherwise, if they suspected anything in Bonakanda of all, What prevents them from going to the state council in Buea and getting a legal arrest warrant? And in Buea, you have all the institutions that should cry foul. They are not doing it. Who has forgotten about Belamoki? Bonakanda is not far from Belamoki's house. Belamoki is not an ordinary man. He was the mayor of Buea, but today he's a senator sitting here only there. Buea is the hometown of Mosonge, the most powerful politician from the south, was there in Yaoundé. His village is right there in Buea. In addition to doubling for whatever thing he calls himself, he is a Buea man. He's a very well-educated man. It's a hometown to Nadova, the famous minister of education, who, under her guide, as the chancellor of the University of Buea, invited military guys to come and rape students. That's a Buea woman. And so these people, back to the topic, that thing is not a mass arrest. Just put it what it is. It is mass abduction. People are simply abducted. And then they go and pay money. They are not charged for anything. In a regular arrest, if you are taken to custody and you want to go, I have to go, you'll be given something they call bail. They call it a bail bond. You sign a bail bond. These people have signed no bail bond. Those are the who are released. They pay money. Nobody gives them any receipt. Is that not legalized armed robbery? I had the opportunity to say this last Saturday. When they stop you on the road and say bring 500, that is armed robbery. Because he's asking for 500, 1,000 with a gun. The other pay or they'll shoot you. That's the definition of armed robbery. The robbery of your property, of your money, whatever it is. So these are legalized armed robbers. And it is for Buea in particular. If they can do this nonsense in Yaoundé, people in Buea, like that young lawyer, she want to stand up to it. The lawyer has no tool other than his pen and his mouth. He doesn't have the force to go and hold the gendarme or the so-called bee with his gun. But he has the pen to speak. The same lawyer who is the mayor of Buea, he has the same pen and mouth as the lawyer, one, as the mayor of that city to speak. But they're not doing it. Mgbeseha, the senator, he can speak. This is Mgbeseha who, from his own mouth, went to bail out Moja and refused him bail. Moja is a legalized official criminal who was licensed to go and harass students in the university, kill them. So what other level of human rights violations can we cite more than this? I've not seen this in any other part of the world. Never. You did not go to anywhere and say, well, we suspect that the guy, the armed robber who stole a bunch of plantain, who stole a car and ran into this community might be here. And they arrest the whole town. You adopt the people. You don't even arrest them. You carry them in their trucks. In your trucks to a specific definition. Including their children, as you have said. Small primary school children, secondary school children. The goal is not to investigate any crime. The goal is they will pay money without any receipt to gain freedom. This is abduction. This is legalized criminality in Cameroon. And so I give kudos to my young lawyer. If you can do any more than that, that would be great. If you need our help from outside to heighten these crimes, we will be very, very willing to help you. Thank you, Barrister Leonga. Over to you.
All right. Well, while that is going on in Buea, General Only Bro is also making some bold move. So the Ambazonian State Army, the ASA, continues to, show its strength and determination in defending Ambazonian territory. Most recently, with a successful ambush on the colonial forces of the Republic to Cameroon in Ngoketunjia County on Sunday, the September 8th, is of course the moving of General Only Bro, who has shown strength and resilience. Well, the ASA Forces set an explosive trap that destroyed a La Republic du Cameroon armored vehicle as it attempted to trespass into Ambazonian land. The ambush, executed with precision and tactical expertise, delivered a decisive blow to the occupying forces. The ambush was a significant victory for the SA in their ongoing efforts to keep the colonial forces at bay. With their superior knowledge of the terrain and unmatched resolve, the forces in Ngoketunjia demonstrated their readiness to defend every inch of Ambazonia. The destruction of La Republic du Cameroon armored vehicle sent a clear message that any attempt by the colonial forces to violate Ambazonian sovereignty would be met with fierce resistance. In retaliation for the ambush, La Republic du Cameroon forces attempted to launch a counterattack in the early hours of Monday, September 16th, by infiltrating Ngoketunjia. However, the ASA, under the command of Major General the only bro, was well prepared and luckily engaged the enemy. A little battle fierce ensued, during which the ASA eliminated 6 La Republic to Cameroon soldiers, forcing the remaining forces to retreat hastily, fleeing through rice farms in search of safety. Despite the tactical success, the ASA mourns the loss of one of his brave Commander Roughcoin, who fell in battle during the defense of Ngoketunjia. His sacrifice underscores the ongoing struggle and the high price Ambazonians are willing to pay for the defense of their homeland. While many of the La Republic du Cameroon forces were neutralized or fled, some are still believed to be hiding within the region. The SA is continuing a manhunt to track down the remaining colonial soldiers and ensure that the threat is fully neutralized with their unmatched courage and determination. The SA remains relentless in their pursuit of freedom and in protecting the integrity of Ambazonian territory. The successful ambush and the subsequent defense in Ngoketunjia highlights the unwavering resolve of the Ambazonian State Army to defend their homeland from colonial occupation, the strength and strategic prowess displayed by the ASA in the face of continuous threat from La Republic Cameroon forces reinforces their commitment to safeguarding Ambazonian sovereignty as they continue to stand their ground. Ambazonians remain united, confident that their defenders will not falter in their fight for independence and freedom. All right, this is a win for Ambazonians. Only Bro recently has been in the field, taking all the necessary steps. Barrister Mgbeseha, you would want to join your voices to this, right?
Yes, what happens in Ngoketunjia, like many other things that have happened in Ngoketunjia, today is symbolic because it comes almost at the end of the lockdown. And it is symbolic for two things. It comes at the end of the lockdown. And then the vibrant soldiers will be it. They have made a video. They are not hiding their faces. They are standing there and telling you that we're acting for the Ambazonian State Army, ASA. This video is not for you and me. It is for the world. It's going to hear one day. And that would go to justify what I said. Yaoundé should not pretend not to know who to talk to. If they brought out their armored car and they did all that, and they announced it publicly, they know that they lost their armored car. Somebody did it. That is someone, that is the person to whom you will talk if you want to make peace. Nobody else. These are signs of representation. These guys are not talking as individuals. They are not armed robbers stealing cocoyams in town. They have a definition for who they are, who are the Ambazonian State Army. You don't need to like them. You don't need to like your enemy to talk to your enemy to end a crisis. So again, as I said, back to 1961, we didn't have the Ambazonian State Army, but we have the mobile wing. When Frontier traveled from Buea with his delegation to Foreman, they were escorted, not by the colonial Cameroon Army, not by the police. They had a powerful military wing of the police. So we've gone back to that. What has happened in Ngoketunjia with ASA is symbolic. Again, for the international community in general and for Yaoundé in particular, the end of this struggle is not yet in sight until the international community recognizes these facts, until Yaoundé agrees, admits that they've gone to the point of no return. They have come to the end of their military exploit. And then what next is what I will address when we come to the end of this segment. Over to you.
All right, thank you so much for your contribution. Still in almost the same light, we have this communique that we saw and we felt that we could analyze it here on tonight's Undaunted. A communique from Manyu Colonial SDO. So the senior divisional officer of Manyu, Awunufak Bertrand, has issued a communique prohibiting motorbikes from circulating between 8 p.m. and 6 a.m. in Manyu Division. Now, this decision has sparked concerns amongst residents and raised questions about the security situation in the area. While initially motorbike operation hours were set from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m., allowing for reasonable movement and economic activity, however, the new curfew has reduced the operating hours, sparking concerns about the motivations behind the decision. Critics have argued that a curfew is unnecessary if the area is truly safe and normalcy has returned. Now, these are the questions we are asking. Why impose a curfew if security has improved and the area is no longer under threat? Why restrict motorbike movement at night, potentially hindering economic activities and freedom of movement? Why allow bars to open at 6 a.m., raising concerns about priorities and the role of alcohol in the community? So the imposition of the curfew has also raised concerns about the ongoing situation in Manyu County. That's the ongoing security situation. The fact that the ASA has taken control of the territory and the ANSC has called for a lockdown that is already about to end suggests that insecurity remains high. Given that the inconsistency and concerns about security, the international community, the UNGA currently sitting, is urged to consider the sufferings of the people and facilitate a peaceful resolution. The situation demands attention to address the root causes of insecurity and promote stability in the region. Well, of course, that's not all. Talking about security and promoting stability in the region is something very sensitive that we must do. All right, Barrister Mgbeseha, why
Right.
another curfew? Why lockdown if actually there is normalcy?
Yes. Yeah. Use a phrase which I would like to take off from there to facilitate a peaceful resolution of the conflict. And that would take me to what I've been saying, what next? The lockdown, you remember, as far as this government is concerned, was intended to send a message to the world of what we have just analyzed. The goal was not to stop schools, because we did not need to give an order to stop schools. The schools themselves have stopped. The schools have stopped. That's why they are urging a reopening of the schools. The issue is, why did the schools stop? Why did the schools stop? And so I had asked, what next after this lockdown? We have achieved our goal by telling the world that we can defy this people, by telling Yaoundé that we are here, come and talk to us. And so going forward, beginning tomorrow, what do we expect Ambazonia people, Ambazonian soldiers, everybody in Ambazonia, and they were allowed to know? Yes, there is no 1 week lockdown, but the problem remains. The issue is not resolved. And so the ASAs, who are in Ngoketunjia and anywhere else in Ambazonia, should only be encouraged to work harder to do what happened in Ngoketunjia a few days ago when they blew off that thing. Seeing what happened in Ngoketunjia, seeing what happened in Buea, in Bonakanda, Seeing what happened in Manyu by SDO. These are places hundreds of miles apart. From Dop, which is in Ngoketunjia, to Buea is so many hundreds of miles. From Dop to Mamfe is hundreds of miles. From Mamfe to Buea and the reverse is hundreds of miles. And so this is a triangle inside Ambazonia. Can the Vatican ambassador, can the American ambassador, can the Archbishop, or whoever has postulated for resumption of schools say that this information coming from Yaoundé gives a school-friendly environment? No. Even if the Archbishop was standing in front of the church and was to go in and offer a mass, and he got shots, he was the first man to run away. He would throw down his cassock and jump into his room to hide. So again, for this international community that has tried to focus on education so much as if that was the priority, no. The priority is end this conflict, create a school-friendly environment. Who in Buea will agree with those people who go to Bonakanda to adopt everybody, including school children, and expect that when these children are set free tomorrow or the next day after paying their ransom, you should take their bags and go to school? What did they do to be adopted in the first place? What prevents the same adoption happening on their way to school? So as I said, what next is we continue to put the pressure and tell our people the same message. We were not reopening schools. The schools want to reopen, but we didn't close them. It's left for you. But is this an environment friendly for you? For you to tell your child can go to school? We think no. Why? Because the problem remains, as you put it in your own narrative there, a peaceful resolution of the conflict. The conflict remains. The school resumption is not going to solve the problem. It's not going to end the conflict. Addressing the root causes of the problem will end the conflict. There will be no need for an armor car to be blown off in Ngoketunjia. There will be no need for somebody sitting in Manyu, calling himself prefect, to be placing a curfew. There will be no need for any criminal sitting in Buea, pretending that they are catching amber and sending people to go adopt people from the village of Bonakanda. That will no longer be necessary. And so that was my answer to what comes next. Yaoundé, be aware, the international community, we're proving ourselves right. And if you agree with us, and we should agree, the whole environment is not education friendly. It's a big risk for anybody to send a child to school. The parents, it's your duty. We have never seen any amber guy standing at the school gate, preventing your child from going to school. If you choose to send your child to school under this unfriendly environment, so be it. The risk is yours. But again, I said sometime last week, you might have given birth to the child. You're a mother or you're a father. But once the child is on earth, the child becomes part of the world community. The death of that child, everybody will mourn, even passers-by. And so the message is clear. Address the root causes of this problem, end the conflict, and everything will fall in place, including peaceful resumption of schools. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Barrister Mgbeseha. Well, all Ambazonians, what they want is peace. I can remember the time when you categorically stated that there is no beauty in holding the guns, but I mean, peace is all Ambazonians deserve and desire. And so I think that your words have actually brought so much calm to tonight's Undaunted, and like to end all of the national news at this point. We'll take a look at news across Africa and of course news across the globe. But right about now, we'll say thank you. You've said a lot, and we want these words to resonate and live in our hearts. So until we see you tomorrow for another series of, analysis, it will be good night to you while we go straight to the news across Africa.
Thank you for having me.
It's another year and another Independence Day for a people at war. Once again, the time has come for Ambazonians across the globe to unite and celebrate their independence on October 1st. A day of pride, hope, and renewed purpose is upon us.
As we mark this significant occasion with cultural representations, dances, military parades from the Amazonian State Army, all eyes will turn to the leader of the revolution.
Fellow Ambazonians, patriotic diasporas, I salute all of you gathered around our flag on this national day, our Independence Day.
President Samuel Ikome Sako, on the eve of Independence Day. Join us on September 30th at 8 p.m. as President Samuel Ikome Sako addresses the nation.
Today, as the never again generation, we have one assignment: to right this great wrong through the sword of justice, with the flame of our courage and the undying spirit of our righteous resolve. So whether we live or die, let it be for Ambazonia.
In these trying times, amidst an 8-year conflict with La République du Cameroon, President Sako's words are expected to spark hope and chart a new direction.
Let me tell you again in a simple language. The person who does not want his neighbor to sleep should expect a knock on his door.
While the date for the war to end remains uncertain, brace yourselves for a roadmap towards a smarter prosecution of our liberation movement, a vision full of promise and determined leadership. Prepare to be inspired as we honor our journey and look forward to a brighter future.
To remind the world of our genocide and the injustice done to us as a nation by France and the complicit international community. Share our story with passion and courage, knowing that no one feels our pain more than we do, and no one knows our story more than those who have lived it, us. Let us fight as one man.
Tune in live across all multimedia platforms and catch this monumental speech only on your favorite TV channel. Don't miss this pivotal moment. Together, let's reignite the spirit of Ambazonia.
This Independence Day, immerse yourself in the words of our leader. Be part of history in the making.
All right, news across Africa. South Africa's tourism industry is underperforming, particularly in attracting Chinese visitors, largely due to complex visa requirements. To counter this, the government has introduced a scheme to reduce bureaucratic red tape for Chinese tourists, facilitating smoother entry for large tour groups. Currently, only 1.8% of South Africa's international visitors are from China. The initiative, welcomed by the hospitality sector, is expected to drive more Chinese business and leisure tourists, potentially boosting South Africa's economy by increasing tourism by 10% annually, which could generate thousands of jobs. While in Tunisia, citizens gathered in the capital to protest the country's deteriorating economic conditions and shrinking civil liberties. As the presidential campaign season began, President Kais Saied, initially elected in 2019 on anti-corruption promises, has increasingly consolidated power by dissolving parliament and rewriting the constitution. The protests follow mass arrests of political figures from opposition parties. Tunisia's unemployment rate remains high at 16%, with youth especially affected, intensifying public dissatisfaction with the government ahead of the 2024 October election. Meanwhile, in Egypt, two passenger trains collided in Egypt's Nile Delta, killing 3 people, including 2 children, and injuring at least 40 others. Train crashes are frequent in Egypt due to an aging rail system plagued by poor management. The Egyptian government is committed to overhauling its railways, yet accidents persist. This incident is one of many fatal crashes in recent years, highlighting the ongoing risks in Egypt's transport infrastructure. What about Uganda? Uganda's Olympic marathoner Rebecca Cheptegei was tragically killed after being set on fire by her former partner. The 33-year-old athlete had recently made her Olympic debut in Paris. Her death has prompted a global outpouring of grief, with tributes pouring in from the sports community. Cheptegei was buried with full military honors at her ancestral home in northeastern Uganda. Let's take a look at South Sudan. South Sudan's government has postponed its long-delayed general election until December 2026, citing insufficient preparation. This is the second postponement since the country's 2018 peace agreement, which ended a 5-year civil war that left 400,000 dead. The government stated it needs more time to conduct a census draft, a permanent constitution, and register political parties before holding election. A military court in the Democratic Republic of the Congo has sentenced 7 people, including 3 U.S. citizens, to death for their involvement in a failed coup attempt in May 2024. The accused, who also included individuals from Britain, Belgium, and Canada, were found guilty of criminal association and terrorism. The defendants have 5 days to appeal the verdict. This coup attempt was led by US-based Congolese politician Christian Malanga, who was killed during the incident. Human Rights Watch has urged the Congolese government to ensure the trial meets international standards. Well, let's get news across the globe. Well, a 50-year-old man detained on Sunday in connection with an apparent assassination attempt on Donald Trump in Florida is self-employed and affordable housing builder in Hawaii who went on social media to weigh in on politics and current events, at times criticizing the former president. Well, Rude tagged Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris in separate posts, encouraging them to visit those injured at the rally. Russian state banks open branches in eastern Ukraine. Well, Russia is consolidating its hold on newly occupied areas of Ukraine by opening branches of its largest state banks in cities such as Mariupol. The Kremlin has encouraged companies to enter Ukrainian regions seized by force during the start of this full-scale invasion in 2022, while many brands still avoid those areas for fear of Western sanctions and the risks of running a business in a war zone. Russia's 2 largest state lenders, Sberbank and VTB, have begun to hit the call. Meanwhile, Pope Francis, despite his physical limitations due to bad knees and the sciatica, showed remarkable energy and enthusiasm during his historic visit to East Timor. Of course, you know, Pope Francis is 87 years old. He embarked on one of the longest papal trips ever, covering a significant distance and spending many days on the road. Well, these visits highlight was a gathering at a seaside park where half of East Timor's population had assembled to catch a glimpse of the pontiff. As the sun set and the fields was illuminated by cell phone screens, Pope Francis took a joyful ride in his Pope Mobile, waving and blessing the crowd with languid loops. It was a heartwarming moment, showcasing the Pope's connection with the people and his willingness to go the extra mile to spread love and hope. The visit marked a significant milestone in Pope Francis' pontificate, demonstrating his commitment to reaching out to diverse community and fostering global unity despite his physical challenges. He remained steadfast in his mission, inspiring countless individuals around the world with his courage, compassion, and dedication. And with that, we've come to the end of the news on tonight's Undaunted. But before we go, let's take a look at the recap. Right, tonight on Undaunted, we told you that Ambazonia national lockdown showed lots of determination and defiance. Meanwhile, the ASA of Ngoketunjia County under General Only Blow laid ambush on Colonial LRC Cameroon forces. Buea Barrister condemned a mass arrest of youth in Bonakanda. We analyze a communique from Manyu Colonial SDO where motorbikes curfew has been imposed amidst security concerns. Meanwhile, from across Africa, we looked at the Chinese terrorism and some other news across Africa. While man detained in apparent assassination attempt on Trump criticized former president on social media. That's it for tonight's Undaunted. On behalf of all the crew that had made today possible, and of course our in-house analysts, we say good night and God bless.